everyone. I'm Sarah, and I have the pleasure of introducing Shirley today because I've had the absolute joy of mentoring with her for the past 6 months. She is so enthusiastic and curious and just bold and outgoing. I think this is, usually what happens, but I have absolutely learned more from her than I hope she has learned from me. Because it's been such an exciting journey with her to explore like everything that we've explored. And so she'll tell you that story on her presentation. And I'll also add that we bonded over our cats, which I think is fantastic. And so she's had to watch and work through the interruptions that my cat has provided whenever we were meeting. So I'm sure you're going to be thrilled with her presentation, just like I was working with her. So I'll turn it over to Shirley.
Hello, I'm Shirley. I'm also in the 11th grade at Marymount School of New York. Next. So my mentor, so Sarah's an engineering project manager in the Navy, and she travels often because of that, and she works in missile defense. She was raised in Rochester, like kind of near where I live actually, but now she's in Springfield. And she likes running and reading and arts and crafts. And oh my God, Simon is so cute. Like, like he is literally like the cutest cat I've ever seen, excluding my own. Yeah. And she's also like a really caring mother. And like her kids also play softball and I play softball. So yeah, we had that linking stuff. And just in general, like she's really cool. Like I really like working with her, and like she always gave me like a guiding hand, but she made sure to like never be like overbearing. So like it was most like she would always like be really good with like supporting me, and like I'm just really grateful. Oh, and also that's a picture of us. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So my project is in general about like advancements in telescope technology, but more specifically, it's about TUMAS and SDSS, two like very specific telescopes in the Sky Survey database, which is the same database that Caitlin used. You'll get her later. Just a little plug there. And so we compared TUMAS, which is the 2-micron all sky survey telescope, and SDSS, which is the Sloan Digital Sky Survey telescope. Like SDSS is like works with Sky Survey. They're like kind of the same. Like you see in the picture with Explore the Universe with the Sloan Digital Sky Survey. But so we compared those two telescopes, and they were used in different times, and we analyzed like what data they collected and how the data differed, even though they were part of the same database, like with the same images. There were like the images that they captured were vastly different. So and like we were just really intrigued as to why that was. Like we weren't sure like why even though like it's in the same database, the data is like it could be like the same picture and then it just looks like totally different. You'll see what I mean later. And like specifically it was like differing image quality, and like one was much more colorful than the other. And yeah, and then like for so then we like discovered why it actually was, and it turns out that it was because the SDSS telescope it was sooner, so it like kind of learned from the TUMAS and like other telescopes before. Like the main goal of this database was to like map out the whole sky. Currently has like a quarter to a third. It's like a pretty good chunk of it, but like not the whole sky. But like we saw that SDSS had like very sharp image quality and also had color. And that was because like the sharp image quality was because SDSS like had these advancements that allowed it to like remove noise from a picture. Like it was, first of all, it wasn't housed in the facility. Like it was literally outside, and they had this thing like this kind of like structure that they would actually move on top of the telescope. Like the telescope itself would usually be outside, so like that got rid of heat, and we like noise caused from like heat inside the telescope, inside the facility. And then like it also had like this teeny tiny little telescope next to it that was measuring the same like parts of the sky, collecting the same data, but it was also collecting data in like differences in temperature and pressure. So it could like kind of factor those out of the image, and it was able to produce a much clearer image. However, like, and then also SDSS picked up a like higher frequency, a lower frequency. It was mostly in the visible light spectrum. So the images that pulled were much more colorful. Like you saw these really pretty colors that you'll see later when I actually show you the images of what I'm talking about. But like compared to 2MASS, it was much the image quality was much sharper. There were more colors. However, 2MASS collected 200 million more objects. And we were like, okay, so we see one telescope is just overall like better image quality, it looks nicer, like, but then the other one has 200 million more objects. What's going on here? And that was because 2MASS actually collected stuff in the infrared, in like the infrared wavelength, infrared spectrum. So whereas like SDSS was focused on like the light spectrum, the visible light spectrum, 2MASS was also collecting in the infrared. So it was able to collect objects that were literally not visible in like the visible light spectrum because they didn't emit enough heat like to actually pick up on it. So like that was just interesting. And like for future work, so like I was wondering I would move on with this project like asking like are there more objects that we haven't found yet because we haven't used the right frequencies to pick up on them. Like brown dwarfs only exist in the infrared spectrum, so like that's an example of something that we only see in like one frequency of light. Like how many more objects are out there waiting to be discovered, and we just don't have the like technological advancements yet to pick up on them. And then also we were wondering if like wavelength affecting like what objects picks up, is that mostly infrared, or are there other spectrums of light that like we would be able to pick up on if we had the technological advancements? And finally, next, you'll see what I was actually talking about. Never mind, that's later. We'll get there eventually, I promise. So about my magical experience, so for like highlights, I was able to learn like way more about astronomy, like in general, than I expected to. Like I had no idea that brown dwarfs were a thing, to be honest. And I was just really happy that I was able to discover something that I had no idea about. And then like when I actually was able to like have a project, have a question, and then answer that question, I was so like proud. Like I'm still actually kind of riding that high. Like we had our presentations like a week ago at school, and like I was just so happy to be talking about what I had worked on for so long. Like I was really excited. And then lessons learned. Yeah, my time management skills, they could have benefited a little bit. Like sometimes I found it difficult to manage like magic and school and then also sports. So like sometimes like I would like Sarah and I would often have to reschedule because like my softball game just like went over, and like I couldn't make it home in time for our meeting. But like we still got our meetings in, we still got the project done. And now I learned that it's like that like I have to be on top of this stuff if like I want to get it done. And then challenges. During our midpoint check-in, we didn't really have like a direction to go in per se. Like we still didn't really have like a research question to answer. Like, but we still had a lot of data, but like not really directed towards a question. So I found that a bit frustrating. And if you actually see the midpoint check-in, like that's the slide that used to be my project, and you see like this is like pretty different. It's still about telescopes, but this is more about like the lenses. And like now, like we did not go towards that at all. We went to frequencies. So like still optics, but like just like pretty different. And yeah, I was pretty lost at the beginning. I had so much liberty that I didn't know what to do with it. So I was a little bit, I was struggling to like find a direction to go in. But Sarah was really helpful, and like over time, like we stumbled upon SDSS one day, and it was just amazing. Yeah, we didn't figure it out like all after, like we didn't figure out the second we got to that database, but like that was like the beginning of the end, but in a good way. Next, please. Finally, this is what I was talking about, my demo. So if you see, there's an option in SDS in the Sky Server database to like circle all of the objects it picks up in blue. So like you see on the left is SDSS, the pretty one. This is an example of the Orion Nebula, which is something we found through trial and error. So you see like the green in the middle, that's the actual nebula. And like, of course, you see the color there because SDSS was focused on color, but then you see it doesn't have as much blue, whereas like 2MASS, it's not more zoomed out. It's just, it has so many more objects that it like almost completely takes up the screen. So like you see that different showcase. And then of course it's lacking the beautiful like the beautiful green, like in the center of the actual nebula, because it was focused on the object, on the infrared spectrum. Next, please. And now these are images that like as they appeared in the database. So this is Galaxy NGC 1055. And you see that on the left side, the SDSS is much more vibrant. It's a lot more colorful. And also the image quality is like way sharper. Whereas like you see 2MASS on the right side, it's the pictures are mostly like kind of like white, like gray. There's a lot of noise. You see that like the image is like much less clear compared to SDSS. So like that's just showcasing like how, although they are different, like they were kind of made to like serve different purposes. So like we can't just say like one is better than the other, because they're both bringing things to the table that are important to astronomers and to like research in general. Next. Thank you.
Yay, that was fantastic. It's really neat to see the pictures. I'm really excited to hear the questions that we all may have for Shirley. So again, you may take yourself off of mute or drop a question in the chat, or if you're there, ask the question live. What questions do we have for Shirley?
I can ask if that would be okay, or do you have somebody in the room? Because I'd rather somebody in the room go first.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, what made you want to change your project from focusing on the lenses to like the physical, like different telescopes?
So the question is, what made me want to change my project from focusing on lenses to like frequencies? And to be honest, it was that like I met with Dr. K and I showed Dr. K, hey, Dr. K, this is my research so far. I'm trying to find an answer to my question is of why is the data that these two telescopes pick up so like different. And I was thinking that like lenses, and I actually had some research on that. And then Dr. K was just like, hey, could it be frequencies? I'm like, interesting. So and then I went and I saw that they did pick up different frequencies, and that like there are some objects that only exist in the infrared. So that actually accounted for like the disparity in the number of objects collected. So thank you, Dr. K. Any other questions?
I think Jennifer has a question here.
Hi, hopefully actually just an assist. So first of all, fantastic question. And I will lead with this. I am a member of the SDSS survey, and I have been since 2008. So I participated in the data collection, and I would love to talk to you guys after this, because you are honestly the part of our audience that we want to reach out to, right? And it was so thrilling that you came upon this and did your own discoveries. I'm so excited, and I have ways in which you can push this further if you're interested, or just a few answers to a couple of your questions. I will point out this, two things. The cool thing about 2MASS is that that imaging took place both in the Northern Hemisphere and in the Southern Hemisphere. So 2MASS is all sky. And it was honestly the pioneering study of your time, but you hit upon it perfectly when you said, hey, but SDSS kind of took lessons learned from 2MASS. And yeah, I just think that's absolutely fantastic. Another thing is that SDSS, with all the cool innovations that you mentioned, the other thing is it had a larger aperture. And so that's why you see, oh, hey, you can see these nicer, higher resolution, images and stuff like that. It just had more collecting power. So this is absolutely fantastic. And if you'd like, I can maybe, just give you an email if no pressure, but I just would love to chat about it. And if it'd be okay with you guys, you and your mentor, Emily, Sarah, pardon me. Could I mention your experiences to our team and just talk about it? Because God, we would learn a lot from you if that would be okay.
Well, for me, I would be honored, actually.
I was same. Also, my sister is Emily, so it's a small world.
I thought you looked familiar. I'm sorry. I was like, I swear she's Emily, right?
No, I love it. I was like, Emily, do you need to join? And also, do you know Jennifer? So this is fantastic.
Okay, great.
Oh, how wonderful. That's so exciting. What other questions does anyone have for Shirley?
I'll ask a question. Excellent presentation and good job for getting through those tough, like, what do I want to learn from this and navigating that. I was wondering why astronomy, and did you take away anything from this project that, surprised you or informed what you want to do next?
So I've been interested in astronomy since my 5th grade teacher named Mrs. Proto talked to us about proton stars. I'm like, oh my God, those names are really similar. That's so cool. Like Earth is connected. Like I'm being so serious. I'm like, oh my God, Earth is connected to like space. What else is connected to space? And here I am. And I forgot to repeat the question. Sorry. The question was like, why astronomy, and what was the second part again?
If you learned anything from this project that maybe informed new questions or what you want to do going forward with astronomy.
And if I learned anything new from this project that can now guide me on further discovering things about astronomy. And to that I answer, yes, I did. I literally did not know that stuff could only be picked up in certain frequencies of light at all, which was kind of embarrassing for me. Not knowing that at all. And I also, I mentioned, I did not know that brown dwarfs were a thing. So just the fact that I still have actually so much more to learn, and that I want to learn too. I think that desire to learn is gonna push me into pursuing astronomy for even my career. And I hope I could contribute to some more advancements, mayhaps.
I think you should point out your
Okay, Gigi said I should point out my hair clip and my earrings, and I have a I have a star haircut, and I have a moon and I have moon star earrings. So yes, I did coordinate those.
That's amazing. Yay! I love it, Shirley.
Okay, no more questions?
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, congratulations. Great job.
you.
And
Thank
I
you.
think this is a first that someone has attire that matches their project. So I'm really impressed.